This is the fourth movie in the series. The background goes like this: Emma, Avery, and Tracy are close friends who came across an ancient and beautiful wedding veil while antiquing in San Francisco. It was made in Italy and is said to have magic powers to bring true love to its bearer. These three friends found their true love with help of the veil and donned it on their wedding days. The story in this movie is centered on Avery, juggling between her married life and career. She has got her pregnancy symptoms to deal with and her house renovation to manage as well. A lot is on her plate, and also the veil is at work for her mother-in-law. Avery Morrison couldn't find someone more romantic than Peter Hastings to marry. He wakes her up every morning with a rose. Today is no different. She likes the gesture. In fact, he has also prepared breakfast for her. He informs her about the contractor who will come by today. Avery and Peter are looking for a bigger house. They have one in sight which is 100 years old. No doubt Avery likes antique things with histories attached to them. Sam, the contractor, is here. He says that it is now on the market finally. The couple is relieved to hear that. Sam says there are many downsides to the house, which are drainage issues and a leaking roof. It needs a lot of renovation. Peter looks concerned, but Avery says it is totally fine. She says it is manageable. Peter's mom, Grace Hastings, is at the door. Avery receives her. Grace says Sam is the best one out there and offers her help in decorating the house. She is an interior designer. Before Peter could say anything in response, Avery says she will love to have Grace help her with this. Tracy Goodwin and Emma Lowell are here to meet their best friend Avery and see her beautiful new house. Tracy works as an appraiser for an auction house in New York, while Emma is a university professor in Chicago. Three of them have studied art history and are in love with art. Avery receives them at her doorstep. They find the house beautiful. Tracy says it is because of the veil that they all got married, and now one of them is cherishing her new beautiful house. She has brought the veil for Avery. Avery is a curator at an art museum, Stanbridge, here in Boston. She is planning an exhibit on laces, and the magic veil is going to be a masterpiece there. Emma has brought a christening baby gown for Avery's exhibit. She got it from her mother-in-law. While the friends are talking, they hear a creaking sound from upstairs. That is one of the many downsides Sam mentioned. Avery tells her friends that she doesn't mind it since she loves the house overall. They have gone out to have lunch together. Tracy tells them about her husband, Nick, who is a restaurateur. Two of them are too busy to even go out on their pending honeymoon. Avery is happy that the three of them are spending time together amidst their busy routines. Tracy orders cocktails. Avery says she would rather go for water instead. Tracy and Emma exchange looks before looking at Avery. Avery can't keep a secret from them, so she tells them that there is a possibility she is pregnant. She plans to visit her doctor to confirm. A few months ago, Avery had a false positive pregnancy test which broke her and Peter's hearts. She asks Tracy and Emma not to tell anyone about it until she gets sure. Her friends are super excited. Emma says she and her husband, Paolo, aren't thinking of starting a family. Tracy says she doesn't think she has motherly traits, so she has no such plan. The three of them laugh and enjoy each other's company. Avery sees her friends off. They say that they will go antiquing in New Orleans the next time. They take a mandatory selfie with three of them and it's saying baby in place of G's. Avery is discussing her lace exhibit with Lucy, an assistant at Stanbridge. She has hung Andy's portrait of a bride as the main piece and plans to display the veil and the christening gown near it. The bride in the portrait is wearing the same legendary veil. Lucy informs her about the new executive director, Mason Sylvester, who will join in a few days. He is no friendly person. Avery hopes he likes lace and approves of her exhibit. Peter joins the ladies. He says Mason is a big gun in the field and is expected to make positive changes to Stanbridge. Peter is a board member at Stanbridge and also teaches art to the children. Avery calls her doctor, Dr. Hawthorne, to book an appointment. It is set a week later. Avery calls her friends to inform them. They usually have a conference phone call. Tracy makes pregnancy jokes. Emma asks her not to until the test results. Avery tells them that her decision to hire Sam as a contractor was the best decision. She is happy with his work. Avery mentions Mason. Tracy has met him at her auctions and she thinks he has an abrasive personality. Avery was skeptical of him and now she is more than ever. Avery feels Grace is lonely and needs someone to share her life with. Grace is a widow. She and her husband have a fairytale married life. Peter says he can't see any man taking his father's place, so he doesn't support it. Avery finally meets Mason and he isn't a fan of lace. He says he can't see this exhibit being any success. Avery says she is gathering framed lace pieces from different countries. She excitedly tells him about the portrait and the magic veil. Mason, instead of getting impressed, is finding her sense of duty overtaken by her personal attachment to the veil. He doesn't say anything but kind of hints towards that. But he does mention that he knows Avery is married to one of the board members. Avery is quick to tell him that she had been working for Stanbridge long before she met Peter. Avery's worst fears have come true. The new executive director is surely an unfriendly person. Avery and Grace are sharing ideas on how to decorate the house. Avery just can't get enough of this house. She is looking forward to finishing its interior design and seeing how it looks. Sam joins and notices a crack in a window's frame. The house can't stop showing a problem with it every other day. Avery doesn't seem to worry. Sam asks her if she has chosen colors for the walls. Avery has gathered a cup, a bunch of flowers, and a hair ribbon of the colors she wants for the walls. Her artistic eye and endeavors are interesting. She thinks it's the better way to do it than the swatches. Sam is starting to paint the kitchen walls. Avery says she is sure it will look beautiful. Peter praises her for always being so optimistic. Sam shows them the drainage leaking in the kitchen floor and the laundry room. Avery stays cool, but Peter doesn't seem happy with these issues. Avery says she is going with Grace to see the furniture for the family room. Peter reminds her that they decided it to be a library. Avery is upset seeing him having an opinion different from hers and leaves sobbing. Well, looks like pregnancy mood hormones are kicking in. Avery is at a furniture shop with Grace. She has the veil with her to take to the museum afterwards. She asks Grace to carry it as she has to attend an important call from work. Grace holds the veil and roams around the shop. She spots a man in the shop and hides away. He is Clark, someone she was with before marrying Peter's father. She asks Avery to leave right away. Clark has already seen Grace and walks up to her to talk. Clark says he has moved to Boston and is shopping for furniture for his place. He is happy to see her. After she excuses herself, Avery stands farther back to watch the two lovebirds catching up. Grace is still holding the veil and it is doing its magic. Dr. Hawthorne has called Avery to tell her that she is for sure pregnant this time. Avery is in tears. She informs her friends who are happy for her. Avery has a romantic idea to break the good news to Peter. She will take him to the restaurant where they had their first date and at the exact hour on top of that. It is their favorite place anyways. Avery meets the manager, Mario, and makes a reservation for Sunday. She has chosen the same spot she and Peter sat in on the first date. Peter has thought of an event for children in his class where they can put their paintings on display, but he has yet to convince the school of it. It is something very close to his heart. His father wanted him to pursue science like him, but Peter always had been into art. He wonders if his father is disappointed in him. Avery says he must be very proud of him instead, since not everyone has the guts to go against the current and follow his own dream. Peter isn't be free on Sunday. He has to work on his proposal to convince the school board and he can't risk it. Avery understands but has to cancel the reservation until next Sunday. Mario asks why she is canceling. She says Peter is very busy and she needs him in a relaxed state of mind when she gives him the good news. Mario stops her to ask what good news she is talking about. Avery doesn't want to tell anyone before Peter, so she has to cover up for her slip of the tongue. She says she has purchased a new car and wants to surprise Peter. Grace is having dinner with Clark and it is a date. They admit to each other that they are enjoying each other's company. Clark holds her hand. She pulls it away, saying it feels strange to touch any man besides her late husband. Clark says he understands and it is just that she remained in his heart all these years. Grace is emotional. She holds Clark's hand. They are going to see each other tomorrow again. Avery and Lucy are with Mason in his office. Lucy and Mason are having coffee. The heightened sense of smell is causing Avery to be repulsed by the coffee aroma. Mason says his aim is to make Stanbridge more of a modern art museum, so Andy and the lace exhibit don't really fit in. Avery says the museum sponsors like her idea and it is also very dear to her. Tracy asks Avery how the work with Mason is going. Avery goes on to tell how he dismisses her ideas, thinking she is a mere sentimental woman, and is here because of her husband's position in the museum. Avery rants to Tracy and Emma about the pregnancy symptoms she has to deal with amid her work crisis. She forgets things, has morning sickness, and a lot more. Grace is here to meet Avery to discuss the colors of the curtains, but Avery isn't home yet. Peter attends to his mother. He shows her children's paintings and says he might show these to the school board to convince them of the art exhibition for kids. Peter standing his ground in what he believes reminds Grace of his father. She tells him about Clark. Peter doesn't take it well, though asked to meet him. Grace says they all will have dinner together this coming Sunday. Peter thinks Clark must be after her mother's money. He needs to meet him to assess. Peter tells Avery about the dinner. She again has to cancel the reservation which she had for the very Sunday the dinner is on. She feels frustrated. Sunday is here and the four of them are having dinner together. Clark still remembers Grace's favorite dessert and has it pre-ordered. Grace asks Clark to attend Avery's exhibition, which is around the corner. Clark is happy to do so. Peter can't help observing Clark with a scrutinizing eye. He asks why Clark has moved to Boston. Clark says he got a job teaching at one of the medical schools here. He recently retired from his practice as a pediatrician. Peter's investigating tone and dry responses are obvious. Avery whispers to him to be nice. Peter ignores and stays polite. Avery munches on donuts while appreciating Tracy and Emma for working out. They are on a conference call as always. Avery tells them how the veil had helped Grace find her love. Grace and Clark are gone to Martha's Vineyard for Grace's birthday, but Peter is having a hard time accepting this new change in his mother's life. Emma suggests that Avery tell him about pregnancy and lightens up his mood. Avery says she is only waiting for the perfect time to do it. The leakage isn't stopping and there is an issue with the electricity in the house. Peter is irritated, but Avery likes the house and can't think of buying a new one instead. Peter says they have to stay at a hotel for a night. Avery knows what to do. She makes a reservation at a hotel for a honeymoon suite. She has got the perfect timings and place to tell Peter. She has donned a pretty red cocktail dress and has lightened up the hotel room with candles and rose petals. Peter enters, but he is not in a good shape. He couldn't get a plumber on time and tried to stop the drainage. It gave him a strained back muscle. Peter crashes on the bed and falls asleep in no time. Avery sighs and blows out the candles. Mason has asked Avery to cut short the descriptions on laces for the exhibition. To add fuel to the fire, he is thinking of bartering a few paintings with another museum to acquire modern art. And Portrait of a Bride is one of those paintings that are going to go. Of course, after Avery's exhibition, but still it is disturbing Avery. She is losing her cool every now and then. A lot to handle nowadays. Peter isn't happy to learn that Grace is extending her stay at Martha's Vineyard with Clark. Avery asks him to be happy for his mother instead of sulking. Just then Sam comes to tell them that he has fixed the drainage pipes, but he has found a crack in the base. Peter says he can't have any more of it. Avery asks him not to be so negative as all the damages can be fixed anyways. Peter snaps at her. She storms out. Peter follows her to apologize. She turns around to face him and says that she wants him to look at a brighter future in this house with their baby. She tells him about the pregnancy. Peter is at the top of the world at the moment. He hugs and kisses her. He can't believe he didn't notice any symptoms she was having. Avery asks him not to tell anyone about the pregnancy until the first trimester is over, especially Mason. He already sees her as an amateur woman. She doesn't want to give him any more reasons to propagate that opinion. The next morning, Sam is amazed to see Peter cool about the crack in the foundation. There is a small room upstairs that Avery dreams of converting into a beautiful room for her baby. She goes to sit in it and imagines how it is going to look. She calls her friends to tell them about it, and also that she has finally told Peter. Avery says that a baby has magic powers as the veil. Both bring true love. This pregnancy has brought her and Peter closer than ever. Even though her romantic plans failed, she still loves the way Peter got to know about the baby, and his excitement was everything. Emma and Tracy get emotional seeing Avery happy. Mason is adamant about giving away Andy's art in exchange for something he deems will attract people. Avery tries to convince him that it has its own charm and must stay here. He won't listen. Avery vents out to Tracy about it. Tracy says Mason is egoistic and cares about capitalizing the art more than the art itself. Avery says she doesn't know how to put up with him, deal with changing hormones, and also handle house renovation. She is burning out. Tracy and Emma are concerned for Avery. They pay her a surprise visit to cheer her up while she is at the museum. Avery is truly surprised and happy to see them. They praise her collection of lace. 3 of them stand to stare at the veil, which is now on display under Andy's portrait. Peter appears. He greets Tracy, who already knows. Tracy introduces Emma to him. Peter notices the veil on display. Emma tells him that she went to search for its origin in Italy and it turned out to be very specially crafted. Tracy comments that the veil and Andy's portrait complement each other. The friends are trying to convince Peter to let Andy stay. Peter, on learning that 3 of them have worn this veil on their weddings, dismisses their endorsement as a mere personal attachment. Peter has thought of taking kids from his class to the meeting with the school board in a hope that his proposal will be accepted. He comes to tell Avery and is surprised to see her friends with her. Emma and Tracy congratulate Peter on the pregnancy. The ladies go for lunch at Mario's restaurant. Avery can't stop eating pineapple pizza. She has pregnancy cravings now. Her friends tease her. Avery asks both of them to be her baby's godmothers. Emma and Tracy are glad to take that. Mario comes to say hello to Avery and asks about the car she purchased. After he leaves, she explains to her friends about the lie she had to make up. Avery thinks they should buy a car for real so that it isn't a lie. Peter says he is okay with whatever she wants to do. He always agrees with what she says. Avery says he is going to be a father as great as he is a husband. Peter misses his dad, who was his ideal. Avery says she has been missing her late mom as well. The pregnancy has rekindled many emotions in both. Mason wants Avery to see a new painting he has received from London. It shows a busy road. Avery might have given her honest reviews if Mason hadn't been holding a cup of coffee in her face. She covers her nose and tries not to feel sick. He is offended at her for not appreciating modern art. Avery has a C-band on her wrist to stay relieved from morning sickness. She wants to stay focused at work. Today Peter is having a meeting with the school board. Avery talks to Mason about the artwork he was showing her a day ago. She is compensating for the mess. She says she had once met the artist of that painting and always found her brilliant. So she appreciates the piece Mason has taken in for Stanbridge. Mason notices her wristband. Avery has to make up a lie again. She says it is to support her wrist while playing tennis. Though they are happy to be parents soon, Avery wants her relationship with Peter to stay romantic and alive as always. She asks him never to stop waking her up to the roses. He says he will always be here. Nothing has made Mason review his decision to trade paintings. Avery is feeling dejected about it and shares it with Peter while they watch Frederick Carruthers. Sam, on his way to leave, tells them he is friends with Frederick. Peter talks about the good times he spent with his father. Avery says she understands him having a hard time with Clark. Clark talks about going on a trip to France with Grace. She tries to blow him off. When he insists, she tells him that she doesn't feel comfortable in having this relationship. Not only because she loves her late husband too much to have a new love story, but also because her only son isn't ready to accept it. Clark is sad but says he will respect her wishes. Grace wants to keep it a good friendship and nothing more than that. Avery and Grace are strolling in the garden. Avery is thinking of planting roses everywhere. Grace asks her to plant some daisies too. Her husband would always bring her daisies. She goes on to tell Avery about what she and Clark had agreed on. It is a sacrifice she is making for her son. Later that night, Avery tells Peter about it. He says he feels it's for the best. Avery tries to tell him that this is making Grace sad and she is only doing it for him. Peter wants no man to take his father's place. On her lunch break, Avery calls her friends to tell them how sorry she feels for Grace, and then talks about her pregnancy. She hangs up the call and turns around to find Mason standing there. He has heard her talking about the baby. Before he could draw conclusions, she tells him that it isn't her hormones that made her fight for Andy's portrait, and for the lace exhibition for that matter. She strongly believes that artists paint their art with heart, and that is how art must be looked at. It is meant to move you, and that is why she is sensitive about Andy and her exhibition. Avery isn't going to let it go. She thinks she should talk to patrons and sponsors about the issue to have Andy stay at Stanbridge. She asks Sam to connect her with Frederick Carruthers. She can get the attention of the masses through his show. Frederick agrees and is now at Stanbridge to do a story on Andy. The report on Andy has drawn a big crowd at Avery's lace exhibition. Grace commends Avery for the amazing work. Avery and Peter tell her about the pregnancy. Grace hugs and congratulates them. Avery spots Clark and waves to him. He says he wasn't sure about coming. Looks like Peter has thought it through and knows what he needs to do. He apologizes to Clark for being an obstacle. He has seen how much Clark makes his mother happy, and that is all he wants. Mason comes to applaud Avery for her good work. He didn't expect such a turnout. Andy is going to stay in Stanbridge forever, he says. Avery is thrilled and hugs her not-so-bad executive director. Mason congratulates the couple on their pregnancy. They are home now. Peter has lit up the family room with candles to show he will always have time for Avery no matter how busy he is. Avery is touched. She says she has understood that it isn't about the best decoration piece or the perfect color of carpet that matters. It is the people here, and she will preserve her energy on building relationships. The house renovation will keep on going and she will balance well. Peter agrees and says he will enjoy what is whole and stay optimistic towards fixing what isn't. They hold each other in their arms and sway. 7 months later, everyone gathered to witness Clark and Grace tying the knot. Peter walks his mother down the aisle and welcomes Clark to the family with an open heart. Grace looks beautiful in the fabled veil. Not to miss that Clark proposed to her under Andy's portrait. Emma and Tracy are also attending the wedding. They want to see their godson, who is named after his paternal grandfather, Daniel. And as for the veil, it is going to be entrusted to Tracy's sister-in-law to marry her true love.